Belief is simple before it is found. It is the decision to stand where others fold, to trust where others doubt, to act before results appear. Hope is not a sentiment. Hope is a posture, an alignment of the soul toward possibility, even when evidence presses the other way. This script speaks to the man who wants to make belief and hope into instrument, disciplined, tested, and obedient to a higher way. It will not coddle. It will not flatter. It will teach how belief bends reality by shaping the choices you actually make, and how hope steadies a spirit so that discipline can form and persist. Believe first, and then learn how belief changes the world by changing you. Belief works on 3 levels: the internal narrative, the decisions you allow yourself to make, and the work you actually do. The internal narrative is the voice that answers when defeat whispers. If you believe you are formed by circumstance, you will remain formed by circumstance. If you believe you are formed by character, you will orient toward acts that build character. This is not mere positive thinking. It is cognitive architecture. The stories you accept reorganize your attention, your habits, and therefore your life. The first practical move is simple and brutal. Refuse to be governed by the lowest story you can tell about yourself. Replace that story with a higher claim grounded in truth. In Christian faith, that claim has a name. You are a creature loved into existence by a creator who calls you to participate in his work. You are more than impulse and more than accident. A theological claim is not a fairy tale patched onto reality. It is a lever. When you accept that identity, your day becomes a training ground for what that identity demands. You begin to act like someone responsible to God, honest with money, steady with family, brave in temptation, faithful in small things. Over time, these acts compound. Musashi teaches the same thing in different language. He says, mastery is born in repetition and in unflinching self. Nobody will make you a man except your own. That is a hard, liberating truth. Christianity gives it content. You are given freedom and responsibility, the soil of sanctification. Stoicism gives method. Focus on the thing you can control. Your judgments, your aims, your effort. Merge them. Believe in a high identity. Hope for what God can do, faithful perseverance. And discipline your life so that your actions align with those beliefs. Now the devotion must become practice. Choose 3 daily commitments that translate belief into act. Keep them small, measurable, and non-negotiable. First, morning anchoring. Begin every day with a single act that reminds you whose you are and what you aim at. It can be a 10-minute prayer, a short reading, or a deliberate moment of silence listing 3 things you are responsible for. The point? You prime your mind and set the frame. Second, an accountability act. Tell someone, one person, what you intend to do. This is not public show. It is a grammar of responsibility. Musashi learned through combat and solitude, but he also had a discipline of repetition, practice in the presence of others, even if only one witness. Third, evening review. Close the day by measuring one thing. Did you act according to your higher story? Keep the review simple. 2 lines of note. 1 thing done well. 1 thing to correct. Belief bends reality because belief reorders your choice, what you spend time on, with whom you associate, what desires you allow. But the bend is subtle, not magical. You will not wake in a different world without work. The bend is cumulative. Each small act of obedience shifts the vector of your life by a degree. Over a year, degrees create miles. That is how bending occurs. Plastic changes accumulate into iron habits. Notice the pattern. Hope is direction when evidence thin. Belief furnishes the identity. Discipline executes the movement. Hope is often thought of as passive, a wish. Yet biblical hope is anchored in patience and longing. Hope is the spiritual muscle that refuses final despair. When hope is present, a man becomes more spiritual because hope opens him to dependence and to transcendence. Hope widens the aperture of prayer because prayer without hope is ritual without expectation. Hope makes discipline possible because it supplies the why that outlives immediate pleasure. When you discipline your body, your spirit must have an aim beyond mere aesthetic. Hope supplies that aim, a vision of a self capable of love, service, and endurance. There is a practical interplay between hope and stoic resolve. Stoicism trains the will by making the man confront discomfort and choose virtue despite it. Hope frames that will by giving it a long horizon. The stoic insists, control what you can. Hope insists, the things you cannot control are not the end of the story. Together they make a potent engine. You control your efforts today because you hope they matter in a larger, perhaps unseen plan. Faith and hope are not abstraction, they are practice. Here are 5 concrete practices to cultivate a hope strong enough to fuel discipline and a belief sturdy enough to direct. 1. Daily remembrance. At 2 points in the day, stop for 60 seconds. Remind yourself of one truth: God's sovereignty, your vocation, or an example of faith. Keep the memory short, connect it to breath, and return to your work. Memory is the scaffolding of hope. 2. Testured obedience. Choose one practice that humbles: fasting, silence, or a deliberate financial giving. Do it for a fixed period and report it to your accountability person. These tests calibrate your desire and teach your will new boundary. 3. Stoic exposure. Once a week, deliberately do one thing that will be uncomfortable but harmless. Cold shower, early rising, manual labor. The point is not suffering for suffering's sake, but training the nervous system to accept discomfort as ordinary. 4. Scriptural workout. Read a short passage with attention. Do not skim. Ask 3 questions. What does this passage teach about God? What does it teach about man? What action does it require of? The Bible transforms belief by clarifying the identity you are to become. 5. The long view record. Keep a quarterly journal where you record one victory and one failure with honesty. Over years, you will see pattern. Hope survives when you can see the arc bending toward growth, and journals make the arc visible. Belief that bends reality requires proofs not to God, but to yourself. Faith without the evidence of changed life is theoretical. When belief produces courage, generosity, stability, and a life that honors God in the small things, it is alive. That is the proof. If your belief does not alter your money choice, your time, your friendships, then you must retrace step. Where did the story go hollow? Where did you borrow sentiment without submitting to discipline? Do not confuse Christian hope with mere optimism. Optimism trusts God and acts accordingly. Optimism collapses when circumstance crack. Hope remains because it is anchored in God's character and in God's promise, not in happy coincidence. Musashi's insistence on self-reliance might sound dry next to this, but it is complementary. You bear responsibility for your, and hope ensures you bear them with the right telos. Consider the posture of prayer. Prayer is not merely petition, it is formation. You pray so that your wants align with a deeper will. There are prayers that build hope, prayers of surrender, prayers for endurance, prayers that ask for clarity to act. When you pray daily, your hope is not a vague wish, but a conversation that reshapes desire. Prayer trains attention. It moves desire from short-term comfort to long-term worth. Discipline without hope calcifies into legalism. Hope without discipline dissolves into sentiment. The union of the two is what we must aim for. Ask practical question. Is my discipline rooted in fear or in hope? If you are scrupulous about a habit out of shame, the habit will be brittle. If you are disciplined because you expect to become the man God honors, the habit will be patient and resilient. Take the example of responsibility. A man who believes he is entrusted with stewardship will steward. Belief changes choices. A man who hopes that his small faithfulness feeds generations will endure many tedious refusals of vanity. That is how legacies begin, not with a heroic effort, but with repeated but secure fidelity. Discipline becomes spiritual when its aim is sanctification, not success. The gym can be an idol or a temple. The same workout can carve vanity or humility. The criterion is orientation. Are you exercising to be loved by more people, or to be a man who can serve his family and community? When orientation shifts towards service, discipline becomes prayer. Practical structure to convert this reasoning into a month's plan. Week 1, identity work. Build a 7-statement identity manifesto written in first person. Each statement is a short claim. I am a man who, I refuse to, I commit to, live those statements daily. Read them every morning. This anchors belief. Week 2, habit foundation. Choose 3 non-negotiables. Wake time, intentional reading, prayer, 1 act of service. Measure them daily. Small wins compound. Week 3, test of will. Add a weekly discomfort exercise and a fast. Record the effects on mood, appetite for ease, and spiritual attentiveness. Week 4, community and review. Share your progress with a trustworthy man and ask for corrective love. Rework the manifesto and the habits for the next. This plan is intentionally pragmatic. Faith matures in the arena of day-to-day choice. Big sermons change heart, yes? But the real work is in the dull grind of repeated modest choice. Now about belief as an epistemic posture. The Christian claims that reality is not exhausted by material appearance. This claim changes the way you interpret failure. Loss becomes not the final journal entry, but an index of suffering that can cultivate greater endurance. When a man believes that his trials can be formative, he begins to seek lessons rather than only comfort. That is not mass, it is wisdom. Romans speaks of tribulation producing endurance. You do not need a Bible quote to accept. It is visible in human craft. Every craftsman who learns endures. Many failed attempts before mastery arrives. Musashi demands solitude and study. He claims that the warrior must know his enemy, his craft, and himself. For the Christian man, the enemy is not only external temptation, but also the inner idols, comfort, reputation, the need to impress. Discipline calls you to daily self-inventory and to ruthless subtraction. Remove 1 thing each month that distracts you from your commitment. Deletion is as spiritual as addition. Hope and belief together produce a particular kind of courage, steady courage. It is not dramatic heroics, but the courage of the common, showing up for work, staying faithful in marriage, confessing failure, forgiving. This courage reshapes reality not by spectacle, but by constancy. Do not underestimate constancy. A river that persists will cut rock. The same is true for a life. How do you measure growth? Not by applause, but by increased capacity for love and responsibility. Create metrics that matter. How many uninterrupted hours did you give to your family last? How many lies or half-truths did you correct? How many times did you choose the higher path when a lower path offered ease? These are hard to quantify, but keep a simple ledger. Concrete acts resist magical. A direct counsel about failure. When you fail, do not collapse into shame. That shame is a tactic of the enemy because it isolates. The cure is fast and practical. Confess to 1 trusted person. Name the mistake and list the immediate corrective step. Make restitution if needed. Then return to repetition. The spiritual life is resilient precisely because it practices. The community is essential. Musashi celebrated the individual, but Christianity celebrates the gathered body. You need brothers who will hold you to the truth you say you believe. Choose men who will call you out and then sit with you in the aftermath of correction. Accountability practiced with love is one of the most powerful instruments of change. Do not conflate performance with identity. Your identity is not the ledger of your success. It is rooted in what God declares, and and what your character reveals through obedience. This theological anchor prevents performance anxiety from becoming your governing motive. When identity is established, discipline becomes a mean, not the end. Now, a few precise practices to weave belief and hope into everyday life, so they stop being abstractions. Practice 1. 30-second reframe. When a negative thought arrives, I always fail. Pause 30 seconds and reframe it into a truth. Correct, I have failed before, and I have also learned how to recover. This short cognitive ritual, repeated, remaps neural pathways away from Practice 2. The concrete petition. Pray specifically. Instead of asking for vague help, name one practical thing. Clarity in a decision, restraint in speech during a meeting, patience with a child. Specific prayer trains your attention and provides benchmarks for gratitude when God answers. Practice 3. The Sabbath margin. Keep one regular margin in your week where you do less, not more. Use it to receive rather than perform. Rest is not laziness. It is a theological practice that sustains hope. It creates a soil where long-term resolve can root. Practice 4. The small obedience pledge. Choose one area where you know you are weak. Make a very small pledge. 5 minutes of scripture at night, a 10-minute walk in the morning, a single charitable act each week, and commit publicly. Small pledges are the atoms of character. Practice 5. The gratitude ledger. Each night, write one thing you are grateful for and one thing you learn. Gratitude counters despair. Learning counters stagnation. Belief bends reality not by ignoring limits, but by orienting energies towards what the world actually responds to. Habit, relationship, sacrifice. There are realms you cannot coerce, but the sphere of your character is yours to shape. Work there. Remember the paradox. Humility is not the absence of confidence. It is confidence placed in the right object. A humble man can hope because he knows his weaknesses and leans on a stronger power. A proud man cannot hope because his ambitions are tethered to his own capacities alone. Hope asks you to be honest about both your limitations and your calling. Do not expect transformation overnight. The Bible offers images of slow growth, the mustard seed, the steady work of farming. Great men are not made by one manic effort but by daily fidelity. If you seek immediate glory, you will be vulnerable to the quickest flattering path. Choose the long view. A few practical cautions. Beware of sentimental hope that ignores concrete hope that excuses moral laxity as fault. True hope calls you to repentance and renewed action. Beware also of an austere self-reliance that denies grace. Musashi's self-reliance must be moderated by the Christian understanding of grace. You act and you depend on God's help. The two are not opposed. They cooperate. Finally, consider the legacy. What small pattern will you leave? A life shaped by belief and hope leaves behind more than stories. It leaves institutions, habits, and people equipped to continue. Teach what you practice. If you have sons, students, or men in your church, show them not your speeches but your legend. The nights you chose prayer over indulgence, the work you endured, the repairs you made. Legacy is less about triumphalism and more about repayment, passing on the discipline that served you. Close. A disciplined, hopeful belief is practical and austere. It is not superstition. It is not resignation. It is a decision to live as if the promises that shape meaning are true, and to enact that life through daily, deliberate choice. Choose the small act that aligns you with your highest story. Repeat it. Find brothers. Keep a journal. Pray with specificity. Rest with discipline. Do these things and watch, not with naive amazement, but with steady gratitude. As the river of your daily acts begins to carve a new course through the landscape of your life, this is not a call to fantasy. It is a strategic manual for becoming the man who believes and therefore makes belief visible. Your responsibility is clear. Form the inner claim, rehearse it publicly, and discipline the body to obey. Hope will supply the horizon. Belief will supply the identity. Discipline will supply the labor. Together, they will do what stories do not. They will build a life